Welcome back. Slightly cautious across Asia, including the SGX Nifty, which is down about 20 odd points right now. Right, let's quickly boil it down to the stock list for the day. Anuj, which are the ones that you'll watch out for?
Well, two largish mid-caps, Surabhi today, and both FNO names. First is Jubilant FoodWorks, discussing this in closing bell. I think if the stock does not break yesterday's lows, I think that will be a market's message that the mild miss is something that the market is absolutely not bothered about because the structural story remains intact. That's my basic sense about Jubilant FoodWorks. I've normally seen that the bigger reaction happens the next day on the stock after the earnings. The other is ICICI Lombard. It's a stock which had a bit of a range-bound session yesterday, but insurance has done well, so that could be an interesting stock to track today.
Okay, well, I would think that banks could start with a little bit of positivity because yesterday our colleague Sapna broke the story that the government may spend more on the ECLGS scheme. What is that? Emergency Credit Linked Guarantee Scheme. The banks would give 10% more of the working capital requirements of a company, of an MSME, loans under 50 crore. And that would be guaranteed by the government. It was a kitty of 3 lakh crore, already 2.5 lakh crore had been spent. And so people were asking if government would increase it. Sapna's story is that, yes, they are going to increase the kitty. And that's why that's a sentiment positive for all banks. I would assume NBFCs also, but certainly for the banks. Okay, so with that, let me toss it to Rima. Rima, Amara Raja had a conference call.
Yes, Lada. So they held their analyst meet yesterday and they spoke about their existing business, which is the lead acid battery business, and they spoke about the company's new initiative surrounding new energy solutions. So first, on the new energy solution, the company said that they're looking to invest in the lithium-ion battery technology as well as other EV solutions like charging products, battery management systems, swapping stations, etc. They're looking at a global technology partner to set up this lithium-ion plant. They will participate in the PLI scheme with the help of a technology partner. It will require an investment of $1 billion. But as of now, this is the intent stated by the management. They've said that they will go to the board with a proposal shortly. On the existing lead-acid battery business, the management sounded very positive. They are guiding for a 15 to 17% revenue growth over the next 5 years, which is higher than the 8 to 9% growth that they've seen in the last 5 years. So the existing business, commentary is positive, but on this new energy solution, this lithium-ion, the EV business, analysts are a bit skeptical as of now because for one, the company will have to make a large investment, which could be it could result in a dilution of their return capital. And secondly, analysts do expect a lot of players globally as well as Indian players to participate in this lithium-ion PLI scheme. And therefore, there is a possibility of an overcapacity, but that remains to be seen. Back to you.
Okay, Rima, thanks a lot for that. Lata, LIC Housing, what kind of reaction should we expect today?
Well, the numbers don't look very good. The NPA has gone up from 2.68% to 4.12%, so that'll sour the mood. And the profit after tax also is down at 399 crore. The poll or rather estimates on the street was 627 crore. Those two numbers are not very good, but otherwise they've not done too badly. Assets under management, disbursements, all of them on YOY terms will look very good to you. And net interest margin as well. The margins have moved up to 2.66. Year ago it was 2.17. Quarter ago it was 2.36. So margins have done well. The couple of brokerage reports we have, Macquarie says yes, bad assets are souring the mood. CLSA also says yes, it's a negative surprise. But both of them maintain outperform, and both of them have a fairly stiff price target. Macquarie has a price target of 600. CLSA has a price target which has actually been upped to 700 from 535. So everyone is just bowing down to the liquidity view and saying that, yes, not a very great set of numbers, but we are raising the price target. So my sense is we should count this as red.
Okay, so red for LIC Housing. Got that, Lata. Let's look at some other results that Mangalam has. Let's start with Lemon Tree. Mangalam, clearly all that travel in Jan and Feb, even that didn't save the day for the company.
Absolutely. So Lemon Tree results were understandably weak. Importantly, the first quarter also looks weak because of the second wave of COVID. So we did see a 46% decline in their revenues. But the company did take a fair amount of cost cuts. That did not save their EBITDA from declining by about 55% as well. And as a result of which, they posted a net loss on the bottom line of close to around 27 odd crores. This is much more than the loss that they posted the same time last year. The reason why the revenues are lower is not because people aren't traveling, it's because the company is charging less for the rooms. So occupancy is at 59%, is by and large stable, but the average daily rate has come down by 45%, and that has resulted in the miss that we've seen in the company's EBITDA. Their debt has also increased. So see some red there. But for BLS International, no real problems out there, despite them being a visa service provider. Revenues were stable around that 145 odd crores. Margins saw a bit of a dip of around 80 basis points, but the net profit was supported by lower tax and higher other income. So that came in at 23 crores versus 14 crores. See mild green in BLS International.
Okay, Mangalam, and let's go close to Ekta then. News in a couple of pharma stocks, Ekta.
Well, yes, I'm covering two pharma stocks this morning. Dr. Reddy's expect that stock to be in the red because they've been asked to pay $46.25 million to a company in an arbitration award in the US. This is in relation to an asset purchase agreement entered between the parties in 2015. Jubilant Pharmova, we can expect the stock to probably be in the green as the company is tied up to manufacture Bharat Biotech's COVID-19 vaccine candidate Covaxin in the US and Canada with the pharma company Ocugen. Remember that both these companies, Ocugen is basically preparing to submit the regulatory submissions to the US FDA and Health Canada for Covaxin. So eventually, when it does come through, it will be Jubilant Pharmova which will be manufacturing it.
Got that, Ekta. So that's the pharma stocks in news. What about the other stocks in news, Sonal?
I have three stocks on my radar today. Let me start with Wipro. They have expanded their partnership with Levi Strauss, and that is to support their digital commerce. So it is a 4-year long agreement where they will be building on existing collaboration in the digital commerce, infrastructure, and the finance segment as well. Moving on, some ratings upgrade coming through. So Macrotech should be in the green today because credit rating of the company has been upgraded by India Ratings and Research to IND BBB plus from IND BBB minus. Similar is the case for Deepak Fertilizers, where ICRA has upgraded the ratings to ICRA A1 plus from ICRA A1, and that is because of improvement in the subsidiary's operational performance. So expect that stock to be in the green as well.
Okay, got that, Sonal. Thanks very much. Now let's focus on Newgen and go across to Rima for this. Rima, promoters are selling a huge chunk of their equity. What's going on here?
Absolutely. So in yesterday's block deal, the promoters have sold 10.57% equity. Their holding now has come down to 55%. But there are some marquee investors who've entered into Newgen, Abu Dhabi Investment Authority, White Oak Capital, as well as some of the others. One of the factors could be the Newgen is actually trading at a valuation discount to peers. So even on a trailing basis, it's at 27.5 times. The forward multiple is about 23, 25 times, whereas many of the other mid-cap peers are trading over 30 times. I think this would be the first time the promoters have monetized their stake. They didn't do in the IPO as well. So that could be one of the explanations, given the stock has done very well. It's up 130% in the last 1 year. Back to you.
Okay, Rima, thanks a lot for that. Let's go close to Manisha then, because crude prices continue to inch higher. Manisha?
Oh, well, yes. We have seen multi-year highs being extended in case of the crude oil prices. We have seen 2% of gains overnight, and Brent is trading at a 74.7 right now. So $75 for crude prices is just a number right now, but that's exactly what most of the Wall Street banks have been talking about as well. Two major reasons, the latest trigger for the crude prices. One is the U.S. crude inventories. They declined by 8.5 million barrels. Markets were anticipating a 2.5 million barrel of a decline. The other thing has been the Iran supplies coming into the markets if the nuclear deal went through. But markets believe that is not going to happen because the Iran presidential elections are on this Friday. And before that, the deal doesn't seem to be going through. So markets are now taking that into premium as well. Most importantly, the kind of demand comeback that we've seen, travel restrictions being eased in Europe and US, all of that has been quite supportive. Well, let me just quickly tell you what Vitol, Trafigura, and Citi, Bank of America, all of these are putting crude oil price forecast to 70, 80, and Trafigura has talked about $100 a barrel as well as the global reserves continue to decline. So very, very bullish bets continuing in case of crude.
Okay, thank you very much, Manisha. But you remember, you and I would remember this event in August of 2008. Goldman, I think crude was at 148 and Goldman Sachs said $200. It never went beyond 148. It didn't even touch 150. And then we saw it come all the way to 100. So sometimes when there are outlandish calls, maybe, just maybe for India's sake, it could dip a bit. But we'll wait and see. Thank you very much for putting all that on the table. I think the last Q is the most important one for the markets. Let's recap all the top stocks. Stocks with positive news flow. We have for Amara Raja, BLS International, Jubilant Pharmova, Wipro, Macrotech Developers, Deepak Fertilizers and Newgen Software stocks with likely negative news flow. LIC Housing Finance, Lemon Tree, Dr. Reddy's, HPCL, IOC, BPCL, Asian Paints, Berger Paints, Interglobe Aviation and SpiceJet. I think I would put green even for ONGC. That's clearly a beneficiary of higher oil prices. Well, with that, let's move over to another important news. Maybe not very stock moving at this point in time, but it's important. The deadline to select the highest bidder for the debt-ridden Reliance Home Finance company has been extended till the 19th of June. Ritu Singh has been following this story very closely, and she is joining us with the latest. Morning, Ritu.
Good morning, Lata. That's right. Even though the voting has been deferred by a few days until the 19th, like you said, the fact of the matter is that the lenders of Reliance Home Finance have already zeroed in on a potential suitor because we understand that Atham Investment in Infrastructure, which is a Mumbai-based NBFC with a focus on capital markets, it's also a listed entity, is seen as the preferred bidder with its offer seen as slightly higher than what the others have, put on the table. The other suitors include Eris SSG along with its arm, Acre ARC. There's also Arcel along with Avenue Capital and Capri Global, some of who are seen as the weaker suitors because they've only bid for selected assets. In fact, we understand that Atham's bid, even though the voting is not over, has already secured the required number of votes for its resolution to be passed. So it's just a matter of time that when the voting actually ends, it will officially be declared the highest bidder. Now, what is the offer on the table? It is 2,887 crores, part of which is upfront cash and part of which is deferred payment in the form of NCDs. So this translates to a recovery of almost 25% when you look at the debt of Reliance Home Finance, which is 11,200 crores. But this is not all. The bidders have also assumed some cash on the books of Reliance Home Finance, which will actually be distributed to the lenders, which is another 1,800 crores on top of the bid. So there is a decent recovery that lenders are looking at. The lenders that will stand to benefit are Yes Bank, Bank of Baroda and State Bank of India, who have some of the largest exposures to Reliance Home Finance.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Ritu. You're keeping us updated on all these sales, but each one of these sales is telling you that you're getting so much less than the exposure of the banks. 11,300 crore is their exposure, and what is the autumn bid? It's 2,887, and likewise for Videocon, banks are getting peanuts for their exposures. Not a very nice state of affairs, but that's how it is. Let's take a quick break on that note, and then we are going to start analyzing all the news that we have placed before you. Deven Choksi of KR Choksi will be with us. We are also going to be joined by a company. Prashant Pitti, the co-founder and director of easemytrip.com, will be joining in to discuss their fourth quarter numbers.